Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well today. So now that I've been playing Diablo 4 for a few weeks, and I finally got to level 100 on my rogue using Twisting Blades Death Trap build, I just wanted to kind of go over my thoughts and opinions of the game and hopefully help some people kind of decide whether or not they should pick it up before Season 1 drops or just wait a little bit. So firstly, I just want to talk about the class choices and my thoughts on Rogue itself as a first class for newcomers, and maybe even people that have played Diablo game before, but haven't started this one quite yet. The reason I decided to pick up a Rogue is basically because ever since I was a little kid, every game I've ever played I've always kind of like drifted towards using a bow or daggers, that kind of thing, and being stealthy. I mean, even in Skyrim, I remember when I first picked that up when I was like, I think I was 12, 13, 14 maybe. Um, I remember just doing the sneak bow the sneak and bow combo before even realizing this stuff was on YouTube. I barely even understood what YouTube was back then. Like I did understand it, but I didn't realize you could just look online for these kinds of builds, and people would just tell you what to do and how to do it. So I mean, I just naturally drifted towards that. I mean, every game I've ever played, even I think it was a Final Fantasy 14 online, I played Monk. I know they have like an assassin class, I'm pretty sure, but that's just kind of what I thought was cool. And Diablo 3, I've pretty much main Demon Hunter the entire time, with sometimes going to a Whirlwind Barb or I think the last two seasons I've played Sork because of the Tal Rasha set. But yeah, so I've always liked this rogue style. I've always liked the rogue feel of playing games. It just has always clicked with me for as long as I can remember. Rogue as a whole in the game just seems to be the most friendly to like a new player. It kind of just starts out strong and feels good the whole way through the game. I didn't really follow a build guide for the first 50 to 60 levels of the game. I say I didn't really because it was my own spin on the Twisting Blades build with the Shadow Imbue, but it was still a build that was officially posted on Max Roll by wudijo when the build, like the betas were up. It's just what I had used in the betas and thought it felt great back then, so that's just what I stuck with when the game fully released. Somewhere in Act 2 is when my rogue got really strong and made the game feel really quite easy. I don't remember when it was, but by the time I got to the final boss in Act 2, I was strong enough just to melt them. I honestly thought that the game was bugged or something, because even on World Tier 2, I thought it should be much harder, but this kind of just stuck with me through the rest of the game until the end. Like, at no point did I feel weak at all or that I needed to go to farm. I mean, granted, I was actively farming out the strongholds, and I was like clearing all that. I was trying to get all the waypoints, all the altars before I moved on to a new region. I was trying to kind of like get everything done as I was going on, so that once I got to the end game, I could just focus on the end game. Once I had beaten the campaign and got to tier 3, my friends started playing, so I made a new character with him, which was a barb. And I'm going to be honest with you, it was an entirely different experience than what I had when I was playing Rogue. Almost the entire way through the campaign, I had felt weak to the point that I needed to follow a build by level 30. And even after that, it felt terrible, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. It felt terrible to me to play a beef stick of a human being that felt like they were running through a quicksand and slapping monsters with a fucking wet wipe. I felt like I was fucking doing nothing. So there's definitely something that to the rogue that scales really well all throughout the game. I feel that if someone was thinking about picking up Diablo 4 and they weren't entirely sure of like what class to play, I have to recommend playing Rogue. It just gave me the best experience all the way through the game. Now, obviously, if you don't like the aesthetics of a Rogue, still just pick whatever. Like, don't make my opinion kind of like force you into picking a Rogue. If you prefer the way the Necro looks, because Necro's got sick drip, pick a fucking Necro. I mean, I believe they're really strong right now. If you want to pick a Druid, pick a Druid. I know they have some issues for sure. Their early game is slow and so on, but if that's what you want to play based on videos you've seen and some research, by all means, pick whatever the fuck you want. I'm just stating how I feel about the classes. I think, in my opinion, Rogue felt the best all the way through. If you've been enjoying this video so far, come check out the stream. I stream here on YouTube Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All types of players are welcome. If you're new and have some questions about how the things work in the game, simply need some help, or even just want to hang out and talk about anything Diablo, this is the place. Build diversity for the class. past the campaign and moving into the end game honestly feels, in my opinion, the best. Going online, looking at all the builds for the class, it seems like rogues have the most options that don't really have a ton of overlap with the rest of the builds. Sure, there will be like one or two skills that overlap, like using dash or shadow step, but those are just the bread and butter of the class. It's a highly mobile class, and that's what makes it fun, because it's a very squishy class, and it requires you to have some decent mechanical skill just to live through a boss fight or live through a pack of elites. Is You need to be dashing, using your shadow step to dodge or break CC. Um, if you were not like weren't going to use those, you'd just be shooting yourself in the foot entirely. I also like to point out that if you're going to play a ranged rogue, it's there. There's 3 builds for it using the 3 main core skills, which are Penetrating Shot, Barrage, and Rapid Fire. If you want to be a melee rogue, that's also an option with Twisting Blades and Flurry. There's even a hybrid build using Flurry up close and Rapid Fire at distance. I believe wudijo is working on that currently, from what I have seen. By the way, this guy is great. You need to check out his streams whenever you can. Check out his YouTube. I'll link it down below. He's a great guy. He's super knowledgeable on rogue, if that's what you're looking for. He does a great job and works very hard. Check him out sometime. In terms of endgame content, Rogue does decently well clearing most things solo. With current gear I've got equipped, I can clear a T60 Nightmare Dungeon in about 5 minutes. If any higher than that, and it becomes a waste of time just due to the fact that rogues are naturally squishy, and any of the death effects that mobs will have will just one-shot you if you aren't careful. Not to say that my gear is perfect, it's nowhere near it, but it's getting pretty damn close with only 1 or 2 pieces that can actually be fully upgraded to higher item power and slightly better rolls. Like, I need like 1 or 2 affixes that need to be changed. That's about it. I think that for a new player, the class will be perfect just because most people won't be trying to push that high anyway. From what I've seen, a lot of people are hovering around 60s and 70s, which means they still have a long way to go before they even start to engage with Nightmare Dungeons of that caliber. For veteran players or players that are just mechanically gifted, it's a great choice as well, due to the amount of dodges and dashes that are given to the player. As I said earlier, this is the bread and butter of the class, and it's what allows you to show their skill. There's a lot of skill expression in this game with rogues, so a good player will be able to dodge most of the like one-shot skills and push much higher in dungeons than a player that's new to the series or genre of game in the first place. Overall, I think the class is a great option for both new and veteran players. It's very mobile, easy to farm with, allows for skill expression, doesn't require unique items to complete builds for the most part. From my understanding, like, I know that the Death Trap Rogue only has the Penitent Greaves or something like that. It's the Frost Boots, basically, where you just leave a trail of ice behind you, so you can just kind of swap some skill points around and scale into frozen damage or chilled damage, and that's like the only unique, really, like, besides like a Doombringer. But even then, a lot of these builds don't really like force you into it, whereas, for example, Druid needs a Tempest Roar, and my friend that's like in the mid 90s still hasn't even gotten one. So that's kind of an issue. I know, for example, Whirlwind Barbarian needs them. Like, he needs like a unique item, like I think it's the Gores. It's the gloves that pulls enemies in when you're doing Whirlwind, from my understanding. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on this. I'm going to put it on the screen, though. Overall, I think that Rogue as a class, comparing to others, is like a whole package. It's like driving a luxury car in the middle of the night on an empty highway, while other classes feel as if you're driving a shitbox 98 Honda Civic that's missing the steering wheel. It's like a night and day difference for a lot of like people, from what I've seen. For me, it makes the game so much more fun, and when I try to go play a different class, it just feels like I'm walking through mud. It makes the game super fast paced. You do a lot more damage, you do CC, you do everything that you would want to do on a class. The only thing is you're squishy. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.